send a special shout out to Boogie Bentley, Dauber, and the Indie Kid over at the Talkin VAWLS Network on YouTube. I also want to ask y'all to go smash that like button and subscribe to their channel on YouTube. Go Big Orange.
Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Wanted to drop a quick video today and go through an article from 24/7 Sports talking about Tyler Barron and their response to adversity, because that's something we talked about all throughout spring camp, throughout fall camp. Josh Heupel trying to change the culture, trying to build this family atmosphere down in Knoxville. How do they respond to adversity? Because it's easy throughout spring camp. It's easy throughout fall camp when the bullets aren't flying. But now, for the first time of Josh Heupel's tenure at Tennessee, this team is they're going through adversity after the loss to Pitt. And look, I've had a couple of days to sleep on it. I've watched the game a couple of times now. There are some positives to take away from that loss to Pitt. And, don't get me wrong. There are no moral victories. The only thing that matters is wins and losses. But how does this team bounce back? I'm proud of the grit. I'm proud of the fight that they showed. Tennessee, this was a game that was a pick'em game. It was a dead even game going into the Johnny Majors Classic. Tennessee with the 13 penalties, 3 turnovers. You're talking about a football team that lost their starting running back, their backup running back. They lost Jalen Hyatt. Joe Milton goes down halfway through the second quarter. They're missing Byron Young, who they will get back this week against Tennessee Tech. But that's adversity. They're facing adversity. So I'm curious to see how do they respond. Some good comments from Tyler Barron. We'll get into that coming up here in just a second. But first, you guys want to get an advantage over your sports book, you need to head over to the App Store or the Google Play Store. Download BetQL, the only app you need to make smart bets. Their computer model scans over 350,000 unique bets per year to give you the best bet recommendation for every game across all major sports. Also gives you the reasoning behind why you should place that bet. Their model covers everything from spreads to over-unders and player prop bets. But I know how some of you guys are. You don't always listen. You want to play armchair quarterback, and that's fine. If you want to do the work yourself, BetQL has all the necessary tools for your research needs. Sharp data so you can see who the pros are backing, line movements, so you can jump on betting opportunities in real time. They've also got great team summaries highlighting previous success against the spread and the over-under. So go to try.betql.co/VAWLS to get started now. Going to drop all the links in the description below, but if you use that promo code VAWLS at checkout, you're going to save 25% on all subscription offerings. They also have a deal where you can get an entire year of BetQL for free. So jump in the description below. Check that out, BetQL. So let's go ahead and jump into the article here. Again, 24/7 Sports, written by Wes Rucker. Says here, Barron guarantees better response to adversity from totally different VAWLS. And I think when we look at the game Saturday against Pitt, this fan base is scarred. They say battered VAWLS syndrome for a reason. And they come out of that Bowling Green game, took care of business. Yes, it wasn't pretty at times, but the fan base was irate. We gave up 6 points on defense. Fan base was not satisfied. And it's one of those deals where you're watching the Pitt game, and as it boils down, as the clock gets closer and closer to zero, you don't have any confidence that Tennessee is going to win. And going back to the title of the article, totally different VAWLS. Well, it might be a new coaching staff. It might be a new atmosphere. But for us as fans, we're still battered Vol fans. We've been here. We've heard it all before. How will this team actually respond to adversity? The article here says Saturday's 41-34 setback against Pitt at Neyland Stadium was the first loss Tennessee football sustained this season. It's hardly the first loss suffered by a majority of the players on Tennessee's roster. The Vols, simply put, have been here before. So have we as fans. That's the kicker. So have we as fans. They won their first 2 games last season, but lost 7 of their final 8, finishing with a 3-7 record, a number that until recently would have seemed unimaginable for one of college football's all-time winningest programs. Dealing with losses is far from unfamiliar feeling for most of the players on Tennessee's current roster. And again, the fans as well. And To go back to what I said at the top of the video, I am proud of the fight and the grit that this team showed. They never quit. A couple of different times down the stretch, this football team was down 2 touchdowns, but Hendon Hooker found a way to lead them down the field. They had confidence. They moved the ball well. They cut it to 1 score, had a chance. They had a chance to tie the game late and just didn't get it done. And that's why we continue to sit here and scratch our heads. And a lot of people don't believe. A lot of people don't buy in to what Josh Heupel is selling. Until they see it on the field, they will not believe. It's not necessarily the case for sophomore Tyler Barron, who has played 12 games for the VAWLS and lost 8 of those games. The loss to Pitt was still bothering Barron after Monday morning practice at Haslam Field. He says, personally, it's eating away at me, the former Knoxville Catholic High School star said. Barron said there's been a different response to Saturday's loss, and he didn't mean only for himself. He said nothing about the aftermath from the Pitt loss feels anything like the response to any loss this team suffered last season. Tyler Barron goes on to say, we're a totally different team than any other loss we'd taken last year. I said it to the team a lot, but this is the most encouraging loss that we've had. If that makes sense, I know we're going to respond well to it. It's funny. He says that, an encouraging loss. But again, when you go back and watch this game, when you watch the tape, there is some encouraging things to take away from it. And we'll talk about that tonight. Talkin' VAWLS Live, 8 p.m. Eastern time. I hope you'll be tuned in right here on the Talkin' VAWLS Network. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure that bell is clicked for notifications. They'll let you know when we go live. But there are some encouraging things to take away from that loss. And again, don't get it twisted. Moral victories don't count. They do not count. But I saw some positive things. I want to see how this team bounces back. They better put up 50 or 60 on Tennessee Tech this weekend. And then I want to see how they do against a Florida football team that is not as good as these Florida teams we faced in the past. Now, I'm not saying I am with Brent Hubbs over at VolQuest.com. I have to see it to believe it. Spoiler alert, I will not be picking Tennessee to win that game. I just won't. But I think they are going to have the opportunity to go down there to Gainesville and compete. But again, it's up to them. How do they respond? How do they respond to the adversity? Article goes on to say Barron calling any loss encouraging is interesting, considering the level-headed approach he shows most of the time around reporters. So the overall mood from his Monday interview didn't deviate from the usual script. He even went out of his way to say he'd taken recent praise from first-year head coach Josh Heupel with a grain of salt, because he didn't think he'd played well against Pitt. He collected 4 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, despite playing through 2 unspecified injuries that limited his rep count. But he preferred to focus on missed opportunities he had to make an even bigger impact on the game. You know, that defensive line looked gassed to me in the second half against Pitt. And that's part of it. You know, it goes back to the little bit of a disagreement in the post-game show. Dauber made the comment he felt like the defense played well. Indy Kid was wide-eyed. He completely disagreed and didn't think the defensive, it was a weird game. It was a very weird game. While the team had quite a few 3-and-outs on defense where, they get off the field quick. But then on the flip side, giving up 27 points in the second quarter, we all knew Pickett was a good quarterback going into the game, but 27 points in the second quarter, it was like Jekyll and Hyde. The defense either goes out and gets a 3-and-out or they let Pitt march right down the field. But this Tennessee defensive line needs some help. They need some depth, and they're going to get that because Byron Young will be back against Tennessee Tech. And, it's Tennessee Tech. It doesn't really matter, but as long as he needs to get some reps, get ready for Florida. And what that whole Byron Young thing, just a weird deal, the whole situation. He had a great story. The fact that he was working at a Dollar General store, goes and tries out for Georgia Military Academy, gets a chance. His season last year through JUCO was canceled, but he's still committed to Jeremy Pruitt. Pruitt gets fired. He still sticks around with Tennessee. Now he's got an opportunity. And then they go back to I think it was 2017, where he played 2 games for a prep school that shut down the program, but yet the NCAA wants to step in and say, hey, this is 2 games. He's got to sit. That's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But Byron Young will be back this week. That's going to help out the defensive line. But that's part of it. That's why we talk so much about Josh Heupel's offense, and the defense needs to force turnovers. They need to. They have to. The defense is going to have to find a way to make some plays. The article goes on to say, when asked about the team's mood following the loss, Barron was noticeably more upbeat. I think we're going to respond better than we have since I've been here. I'll stand by that. Barron said the Vols knew Pitt was a game it should have won, but he described the setback as more of a galvanizing force than it would have been last season. For me, it's the mindset. I can't wait to go and get a win this weekend while responding well. We're just going to come back and work this week. Goes on to ask him about the Tennessee Tech game. He says, for me personally, my game, it shouldn't change regardless of the opponent. I should look as good against Bama as I do Tennessee Tech. My mindset is always the same, to be honest. Tennessee just needs to go out and take care of business on Saturday against Tennessee Tech. Put up 50 or 60. Get ready for Florida. That's how they respond, how they play against Florida in about a week and a half now is the real test for Josh Heupel. How does this team truly respond to adversity? If they're going to find a way to get to 6 wins, I'm not saying they got to beat Florida, but you better go out and compete. If you have not done so yet, please smash that thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. It helps the channel, whether you agree with me, disagree, hate me. If you hate me, I really don't know why you're here, but smash that thumbs up. Drop into the comments. Leave me a comment. Let me know. Do you buy into this? Do you buy into the way Tyler Barron is responding to this loss? Do you believe in the culture that Josh Heupel has created? Do you believe this team will respond to adversity, or is it the same old song and dance that we heard from Jeremy Pruitt, from Butch Jones, from Derek Dooley? Is it just repetition over and over? Groundhog Day. Wake up, hear it, do it again. We got to see this team go out, compete, and get it done on game day. But that's going to wrap it up for this video. This is the Talkin' Vols Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.
The Vols.